Imagine you're having a conversation with your future self and they say, please, I beg you, don't make this mistake with your money. If there's one consistent theme amongst all the pre-retirees that I work with, the people that are in their 50s and 60s, it's the fact that they are massively overweighted with pre-tax money. Most retirement accounts, 401ks, 401as, 403bs, traditional IRAs, they're funded with pre-tax dollars. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the question in finance, because money is finite, because we have a limited supply, we only have so much that we can work with, is it the best decision given my options and given my circumstances? And this is where we really have to critically think for ourselves. But many employers also offer after-tax or Roth contributions. Very few people fully understand why, and I mean seriously why, they should really consider changing some of their pre-tax contributions to post-tax, or just overall just upping their savings rates to some of these post-tax accounts. Now obviously this is going to depend on your situation, but let's dive into some of the benefits. In life, it's not really a question of if we're going to pay taxes. The more appropriate question is when and how much. So with an after-tax account, you're saying, hey, I want to pay taxes now, such as a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, to get that tax-free growth and that tax-free distribution down the road. So let's just take a look at the current tax rate environment. Does it look to be relative to years past, that is a low environment? Now, I want you to continue thinking through this. With a budget that is swelling alongside a deficit that is looming, how might our government pay back this money? One of the ways might be raising taxes, especially when you consider that we're in such a low environment. Now, does that mean that's going to happen? Absolutely not. There's no guarantees. But in order to end up not in a situation such as these 50 and 60-year-olds that I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we need to give ourselves tax diversification. And considering that we're in such a low environment, number one, we should really consider saving to tax-free accounts right now. So number two, this is something that, for whatever reason, is not really talked about. I have no understanding why this isn't discussed more. In retirement, you're taking Social Security. Social Security can be taxable up to 85% through what's called provisional income. When you take monies from a pre-tax account, that triggers your provisional income, which can trigger Social Security taxes, which can trigger paying more in taxes. So if you don't want to pay more in taxes, when you have a Roth account and you take monies from that Roth account or that after-tax account, you do not trigger provisional income, which means you can pay less in taxes. Now, Social Security, you might say, it's not that big of an asset. This is a massive piece of your financial plan. It's likely going to be several $1,000s each month. Paying taxes on that benefit each month is not very enjoyable. So one of the benefits is paying less in taxes for your Social Security. So number three, Roth IRAs, which a lot of times people will have Roth 401ks, they'll leave a company and they'll roll it into a Roth IRA. You can access what you've put into that Roth, the basis is what it's called, for any reason at any time without paying any penalties or taxes. Now, I don't advise doing this unless it really makes sense, so it's going to depend on some things. But it's nice to have that flexibility. And in addition to this, you can use the money for things like college, which a lot of people have kids. A lot of kids want to go to school. You can use the money even beyond what you've put in for college. And you don't have to pay that 10% penalty. You would just have to pay taxes on the growth. So there's some flexibility there. Again, it's just another added benefit. So lastly, number four, you don't have to take what are called required minimum distributions, or in short, RMDs. This is specifically for Roth IRAs. So the government's been waiting on the sidelines patiently to collect taxes from your pre-tax accounts. So right now that age is 72 when you actually have to start taking distributions from these requirement accounts, which triggers taxes so the government can collect, right? You don't actually have to do that with a Roth IRA. So a huge benefit is not having to take these distributions or being forced to take these distributions when you maybe want to just let that account ride because you don't need the income. So as always, I'm not specifically recommending that you go out and you invest in a Roth IRA or you open up an after-tax account. I don't know each and every one of your situations, so there'd be no way for me to prescribe something without first forming a diagnosis. But if you could sit in the room and see the clients, the prospects that I've sat down with, 50, 60, 70-year-olds that have portfolios that are massively allocated, massively overweighted towards pre-tax dollars, you would see that they're really at the mercy of future tax rates. If there's one commonality amongst most successful investors, it's the fact that they have options. You want to give yourself options. So consider setting up some tax-free account, looking into the after-tax options through your employer plan. Don't just get automated into their pre-tax account. Look at what you have available and look into giving yourself more options.